Cheers, Scrubs! Walkthrough Wednesdays is here. And that was my really bad British accent. I will not be using that through the rest of this walkthrough. I'm Danalynnex, and if you haven't already guessed, we're talking about TRACER today. Lena Oxton is a 26-year-old adventurer from London and the youngest recruit for the Overwatch experimental flight program. Lena Oxton, or aka TRACER, is kind of like our modern-day Amelia Earhart. She was a very headstrong girl who wanted to be in part of the pilot program in Overwatch. However, there was a malfunction during this experimental flight program that made her desynchronized, I think that's how you say it, and it messed up the flow of her time. She would go in and out of time, blinking, if you will, but never able to stay in the present. So, with the help of Winston, our very scientific gorilla, he made her chronal accelerator device, which kept her in the present but also able to blink a couple times, making her the perfect candidate for Overwatch's fight program. This effect also made her be able to go back in time, which goes into the abilities that she has. So, the four main abilities is obviously her pulse pistols, which are quick rapid-fire shots. She has 2 of them. Her blink, which transfers you to another point faster, meaning you can go backwards, forwards, or sideways, or strafe out of enemy fire or to a point faster. Her blinks recharge for every 3 seconds or so. Recall is her ability to go back in time, usually giving you more health if back in time you had more health. So for instance, if you're running forward and you had a bunch of health way back here at this point, but then a couple seconds you were down half health, you could recall and you would have all your health back, and you would also be put back to that starting point. So recall is good for getting your health back, but also just taking you back to a spot you may want to be in. We'll get back to that more in our strategy. And finally, her ultimate, Pulse Bomb, which is basically a sticky grenade that does a big area of effect damage, so you can stick that on someone or stick it in the group of somebody and it'll blow up, but be careful because it will also hurt you, so you need to blink away. So TRACER is easier to explain than she is to play, so I'm going to go into some strategies in which we should talk about in order to play TRACER a little bit better. Because of her small amount of ability, she seems like she would be an easy one to get into as a starter, but I wouldn't say she's quite beginner friendly, but she's not exactly a pro either. She's somewhere in the middle. You're going to have a harder time with her if you're a beginner, but she should get pretty easy as you learn the maps, as you learn how the game runs, what abilities and who to look out for. So as to TRACER's strategy, because of her pistols and her blink and her high mobility, she is a hit and run playstyle. She's also extremely squishy, and I want to make this point clear, she is not a head-on killer. You want to flank around and you want to break groups of people up. That is your main job as TRACER, is being a flanker, quote unquote. TRACER is highly mobile using her blink and recall. This makes her a great flanker, but also really good at baiting people's abilities. For example, if you blink into an enemy, let them see you, and quickly blink away, usually they'll try to use something like, for instance, McCree.
Whoa there!
He will use his flashbang on you, but if you've already blinked away, then he just used his ability and completely wasted it. Another example would be Roadhog.
Say bacon one more time.
If he sees you, quickly tries to grappling hook you, but you already blinked away. Those are 2 abilities that are now off the table for a few seconds that not only helps your team, but helps you now take down those enemies because they no longer have anything against you. The reason she is a flanker is because of that mobility. She can get behind the enemy, she can stop static teams. So whether or not it's a choke point or they just have a really good defense system in place, like let's say like a Reinhardt, a Bastion, and a Mercy are all piled up in one spot, she is the perfect person to go in and start blasting and putting pressure on them to move so that the rest of your team can get in there while their defenses are scattered. It's also useful because her ultimate, like I previously stated, is kind of like a sticky bomb, and the best way to use her ultimate is to throw it on a tank like Reinhardt or Winston, because people are usually grouped up around them trying to be protected by their shield. So if you throw it on him, not only could you possibly, if he has low health obviously, you're not going to kill him at full health, but you'll take him down quite a bit, but you will kill the people around him if they don't move in time. So basically the 3 things you really need to know for strategy: flank, harass, and if you can, break up any groups. Make them come after you, and if you are low health and can't use your recall, you can go ahead and blink towards your healers real quick, get healed, and then go back to harassing. Some of the characters that TRACER is very strong against is Bastion, Mercy, Widowmaker, Hanzo, anyone who's really slow and squishy. You always want to go for healers if you can. If they're not around, you want to go for those squishies. You can get them down, you can harass. Some people that TRACER is weak against, however, is someone like McCree, who if they flashbang her, she's stunned and most likely will die. She's also very weak against Mei, who can freeze, like slow her down, which is pretty obvious. And she's also pretty weak to someone like Soldier 76, who his ult can automatically aim, but also he can just use his grenades at her and she usually will blow up, because if you're a good soldier, you will aim those grenades at people's feet. Something else to note, if you use your recall, you can use it to take debuffs off of you as well as heal. For instance, if you have Widowmaker's Venom Mine or Zenyatta's Orb on you, you can recall and those will be taken off of you. So be sure to always use your recall when it needs to be used. Don't just use it all the time just to go back a little ways. That should be saved a little bit more just in case. Alright scrubs, that's the end of our Tracer walkthrough. I lied about not doing the horrible British accent again. Sorry! Please tap that like button. Please subscribe to SLAYTRIX and our sister channels, Snarled and Hissyfit. And if I missed anything in this Tracer walkthrough, please leave a comment down below letting us know what your tips and tricks are to becoming a really awesome Tracer player. And remember, the world could always use more heroes. The D out.